Welcome to the Wizards of Ecom, your no-fluff playbook for online success. Each episode is fully packed with actionable tactics you can implement in your business right now. Take your life to a higher level and excel in your online success. It's time to work on you and your business. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Wizards of Ecom. My name is Carlos Alvarez. I will be your host for the show. Today we have the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Anderson, conference producer of Prosper Show. Brian, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Carlos. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. And man, I'll take credit for that one. The myth I'm working on, the legend is for later years to judge. We'll see. Thank you, though. I appreciate that.
I've been able to see behind the curtain leading up to Prosper Show, certain things, and I think it's totally warranted. So, and I think when people go to the show, they'll get the other part of that. Like we're going to dive into it, but it's freaking genius what's going on back there. I want to like jump straight into something here. And that is, this is the first major show I feel in the Amazon space. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first major show back since the lockdown and the pandemic. Yeah,
it is. If there's another, I'm not aware of it. But it is the first one coming back. It's the biggest show that's out there strictly for Amazon sellers. Established Amazon sellers. So it's we expect a big turnout. We expect a big turnout because people are just hankering to get back out and see faces. The trajectory of COVID is such that we're good where we are now, but improvements that we're seeing right now in terms of health and loosening of justifiably restrictions should see that in the numbers.
Absolutely. There's not a single person I know that's like, no, I'm not going because of COVID or something like that. Like everyone, I feel like we're in a good place. I feel like it's perfect. I think it's the perfect time for the show. For anyone that's listening to this show and they're like, Carlos, you're talking about a conference. Like I wouldn't just be doing a podcast episode for any conference. Prosper Show is something special. In your own words, could you say what makes the Prosper shows like so different? Like we're obviously not bashing any other conferences, but like what makes it so different and people should expect at Prosper Show?
Well, and there are shows for Amazon sellers. Most of them actually are for e-commerce generally. This is for everyone at the show will be on Amazon. They know about it. But what makes it exceptional beyond that, it is the biggest that there is. I think 2 years ago we saw 1,400 people. It's also very known. It's known for being, say, the educational authority and networking hub for the established Amazon seller. All of the sessions are white hat. All of the sessions are for established Amazon sellers. We wouldn't recommend ours for beginner or even any novice to come, because it really is about you really can't be coming to find out about how to get on to be a seller or having just gotten on. This is for people who have an established presence and success on Amazon. I think our numbers are 67% are doing 1 million or more, 76% are doing 3 million or more, and a good percentage are doing 5 to 10 and 10 or more. So we're seeing a lot more brands than we did when we started 5-6 years ago now. Previously was resellers. Now it's still that, but we're seeing a lot more people from larger businesses, brands coming in to find out how to do business. So I'd say that the white hat, the advanced nature of a lot of the educational caliber, and just an amazing community of people getting together, just wanting to hear from each other.
So I understand people can expect not to come here and see a conference or see a presentation titled, "What is FBA and how to take advantage of this online marketplace," right? Like this is much higher caliber than that.
Yeah. Well, we have there's actually a session on that I think illustrates that point. Improvements and alternatives to FBA. So yeah, looking to take it to the next level and how to do things better.
Yeah. It definitely has. Brian, before unpacking Prosper Show and a ton of questions I have, how did you get experience in putting a show together of this caliber, of this magnitude?
Yeah.
What's your experience with that, and how does like your life trajectory cross with, and why, with Prosper
Yeah.
Show?
I started my first for-profit job in 2015. I was doing conferences for the life science industry, but really 20 years prior to that, I was working in education. I was in the classroom for 4 of those years, but a lot of it, doing professional development, being the person up front, kind of facilitating professional development, and then began to. I started working for the Charter School Resource Center, and that was my first great opportunity to found 2 different workshops for the Charter School Resource Center in Massachusetts, and it was great. One of the things I think that was a really good parallel experience was it was all of the people who were in charter schools. They're islands unto themselves, like Amazon sellers, and they're just getting together to find out, what each other are focusing on, and as well. A huge disparate group of people. How do you find something that really satisfies everybody? I really enjoy this work that much more. It is that much bigger, and it is. I get to focus on. I'm not doing the registration as I was for that. I'm not doing the. I am doing some. I'm involved with the marketing. I'm involved with sales, but I get to focus a lot of my energies in what I enjoy most, which is talking to some amazing people, the speakers, coming up with a great puzzle of that suits everybody, that's going to suit everybody, and the advisory council, as you know, just you said mentioned it was genius, geniuses, even because of the amount of geniuses that are on there, the just great people, but also amazing, in their own mind and expertise in Amazon. So prior to that, I guess, I did higher ed. I did a lot of nonprofit working with schools, but happy to be finding myself here. Everything kind of has culminated into this great experience.
I'm blessed to be on the advisory council. So all the praise you just gave to the geniuses, I wish we could. I think I'm going to cut out this portion of the podcast and listen to it every morning. Right.
Yeah.
What you said, charter schools and higher ed and stuff like that, as it pertains to conferences
Yes.
and events. Do you feel that, because I hear education in that, and Prosper is education of another sort and an event, do you feel like you have like a special skill that came from that had to do with learning and how people absorb information?
Yeah.
What do you think you brought from that, if anything?
Definitely being in the classroom and definitely working with teachers. It is about finding out what people need to know and then formulating a program to get them to know that. And teaching is all about objectives. Students will be able to, identify the first 5 presidents of the United States and a whole hierarchy of understandings beyond that. That's the very basic level. Understand, George Washington's lasting impact on a democracy and how he influenced it. So I like to get a variety of different key takeaways. I don't call them objectives in this, but key takeaways, very concrete things that people can get out of the sessions. So kind of getting the experience to meet the need, but also, working with charter school leaders, whether you're working with students, whether you're working with directors of instruction or teachers, you're doing. There's a lot of expertise in that room, not necessarily among students. They're working on that, but there's a lot of experiences in that room, and getting each other to relate with one another. There's a lot of peer-to-peer enrichment that can take place through a lot of the sessions. So getting people together, just what are the different formats that you can do that in? We're doing some different things that haven't been done at Prosper before. Notably, we have 15 sellers on the agenda. I think previous years it was fewer than 5. I think it was 2 of 39 for 2020. So we're getting them in the room, but we're also getting. We also are beginning to offer more like real workshop-y, per se, as we would in the education realm, more opportunities for people to get together in semi-structured learning so they can do peer-to-peer sharing, talking to each other about ideas. but around a table, and giving that some structure so it can be more even productive. So it's the networking that's taking place, but there's also learning and knowledge sharing that's taking place at the same time. So I think I bring that from my education background, how to find the expertise, not just among the experts to present, but also among the attendees to share and to facilitate that.
I think a way that I saw firsthand that you did exactly what you're saying right now is that there was it seemed like this emphasis on, we want to get real sellers up there that are like doing this, and sellers that are speaking, not someone that sold 15 years ago for 6 months or whatever, like, and white hat, and that's doing it successfully white hat, not, they inflated their numbers and off some black hat tactics that really doesn't require expertise. So there was this emphasis on sellers. Like, I'm a seller. There's other sellers doing this. We have, was it Teddy Bear? I'm drawing a blank
Vermont
right
Teddy
now.
Bear Company.
Vermont Teddy Bear Company. I mean, come on, to be a fly on the wall of the room with that person, like, you're going to be able to just hear this person present. You got that. What was it like in two? Because I've had a peek, I think, at what maybe the final presentation, like the lineup and stuff. I don't know if that's been released, so I don't want to say much, but there's an amazing balance there. Like, some people are going to have some cool choices between, like, I can see this or I can see this, and the balance is perfect. It's like there's almost like create your own journey through Prosper Show. Talk to me about that. Like, how did you balance everything out like that?
It started out, I think a lot of the issues with other conferences and I should highlight this about ours, we're not a paid play conference. Never have been. That has really been, one of the it's one of the things that Prosper Show is renowned for. It's just putting education first. But back to your question about balance, we started out with the topics rather than, it's not who's sponsoring. That doesn't even come into the equation for us. It's about and it's not even who are the best speakers that we should have there, and let's have them talk about what they know. It's really about what do they really need to know and who are the best speakers that are out there. So it's a seller needs driven event. So starting out, this is the first year that we're doing theme-based tracks. I think that one year they did do tracks that were based on whether someone was private label or brand or reseller. And that has some advantages to going with tracks. But I think this theme-based approach is a better way to let sellers' needs drive what you're learning. So yes.
What do you mean by theme-based? I want someone.
Sure. So concretely, we have 5 tracks. We have protect your business. We have manage growth and expansion. We have maximize your impact, which is more about listing and how to do a listing that's great. As optimize your efficiency, which your session will be in. It's about how to work harder or smarter, not harder. And then those are all 1-day tracks for the 2-day event. And then the 5th track is actually both days, driving traffic, how to just get sales. And starting with that, and then beyond that, okay, well, what are breaking it down beyond that? So what do they need? What do people need to know? What's going on? What are the trends out there? What are the innovations out there? What are the issues that people are having out there? And I did a lot of research, not just talking to every advisory council member multiple times, but the first month in the job, I guess it was 2 months, but the first month in the job, I had scheduled 36 interviews, just with people to say, hey, can I grab you for 20, 30 minutes and find out, what do you know now that you wish you'd known then? What are you doing now to prepare for what's happening coming down the road? And just getting at people's needs. So I'm continually doing those kind of interviews as I go. There's the same thing, and I think I really got that back to my earlier experience with the Charter School Resource Center. I mean, there were different pedagogies for so many different schools. Think about all the educational models that are out there, and you're going to bring someone in from a college prep, middle school. Can they really learn something from someone who's doing Montessori? Yeah, they can. But it's just a matter of finding out getting down to that specific need, basic need that everybody needs to get at, and getting them talking about that. But to the point of tracks, if you work for a big company, I think you're crazy not to send 2 people to this, because there are so many different routes that people can take through to create their own path. With the 3 different tracks, there's three. This is the first year we're doing this too. That every session, with the exception of the morning session and one great seller panel session, there's three sessions taking place simultaneously in every time slot. So, and it's going to be hard to decide.
Personal opinion, I think the secret sauce you bring as far as like the educational part and marrying it with the conference, I think that really came through on this conference. I've looked at a lot of other conferences, and no names of them, but you do see it's kind of like, huh, yeah, I know what display ads are. Like I don't need to, I don't need to see that. I see things here that, 7, 8, like you said, 7, 8, and aspiring 9-figure sellers could go in there and learn from. And I think another thing, personally, it's important. All the conference, all the speakers are great. They really are. Like there's none that I'd be like, oh, how did that person sneak in? Like all are really good. All are like arguably thought leaders in the space and in their respective niches. You can go to a conference though, and you leave with one, and you get massive multiples in your business. And this is how many different opportunities to catch that one thing. Like how many speakers and tracks and panels and everything? Do you have a number? Like how many can somebody be exposed to going to Prosper Show? Not counting the networking, not counting the other events, not counting, brainstorming with the exhibitors. Like how many different sessions is there throughout the Prosper Show?
I think, is it 27? Counting the workshops? I think it's there's 21 total sessions that are 45 minutes to an hour, and then, but there's you mentioned whether every bit of the agenda is currently public, with the exception of the keynote, who is to be announced. And so we have, when you add them all up, there's 27 sessions, counting all the workshops, including the first ever. If I may just mention one other thing, as I was mentioning a moment ago, what I bring into it. We're doing a sellers only think tank this year. This is what can you masterminds? I understand how incredible those are, and how do you do that at a conference? Well, this is the solution to that I learned my second or third year out of college, those many years ago, it's just an opportunity for people to sit at a round table with 8 people, and we'll have maybe a larger category of advertising. And maybe they're working on selling. Let's spend 15 minutes talking about how to advertise on Amazon. Another table of the 3 might be doing off Amazon. Another table might be doing influencers or social media. They spend 15 minutes there. They pass it on to the next one, and then they spend 10 minutes on the second list, and then it rotates after 10 more minutes until every group has contributed to what ends up being a digest of the best practices in the room. And I was kind of getting into this because, one, it's totally seller only. We'll be, and not sellers who are service providers. It's not going to be pitchy. It's just going to be sellers who are only sellers. And I said, I learned at my third year out of college, when I was teaching teachers how to teach science. And one of my colleagues did this, found its way into this world, because I mentioned it doing conferences for the pharmaceutical industry. I had my first 2 speakers of day 1 on a conference canceled 2 hours beforehand. What am I going to do? I'm like, I can't fill that spot. I'm like, I'm going to do this. It's called a carousel model. And we'll just see how it goes. I don't know what else I could possibly do. It turned out to be the best session at that event. And the biggest criticism we got was, you should have done more of that. That thing you did on that morning, you should do more of that. And
the carousel model is like this, what you're describing, this mastermind of sellers.
Mm-hmm. And so the carousel is the piece of flip chart paper that's going around. So, they get a chance to see what this group did and this group, what the other groups are writing, but then they get to add to that list. And when it comes back to them, they read through it and they kind of talk about, well, which is the best one here? And the quality of that conversation is really what it's all about. It's as good as sharing your best practices. It's about getting to see how people think strategically, and being able to bring that back and think about it and grow your business better because of it.
Does somebody have an option? Like, I have 2 sessions I need to pick from that I need to go see right now. I'm assuming they're happening at about the same time. I pick one, but I really want the other one. Do I have the opportunity to get, if I'm an attendee, can I also get a recording of sessions afterwards? Will there be an opportunity to buy that? Is it included in the ticket already? I don't know. I didn't see that.
Yeah, it will be included in the ticket. Anybody who's registered to attend will be able to access recorded sessions at a later point. I don't know that we'll record all of the panels. We want people to be able to speak frankly and candidly without knowing that it's going out to wherever in the world that they might be viewing it. It's really just for people who are in the room. We also want people to be able to ask questions without knowing that the question they asked during a panel session and Q&A might be viewed by someone who works at Amazon. Not that Amazon can't come and attend and haven't, but there's something to that. But to your point, yeah, if you're paying for admission for a conference pass, you're paying to see all the sessions but only one at a time in person.
Right. Well, the beauty of Prosper Show, I think, makes it very different. Is it's all white hat. So if Amazon does attend, I mean, you're really doing white hat tactics to grow on their platform, and they would encourage this. Now, if somebody was getting up there saying black hat stuff, then yeah, I could totally see why like that wouldn't want to go out. Something that I found powerful, I'll comment like a little share for listeners, and I don't know if you've heard a lot of this, Brian, is that I personally don't think there's any substitute for not attending. Like if you're not attending, there is no, I think watching the videos could be powerful, but nowhere near attending in person. What I do is I attend in person and I soak up everything I possibly can, learn everything I possibly can from all these people. And then I will, if possible, access or buy the videos. And I can use these videos as trainings, as like, for critical people on my team. And I'll be like, you need to do this. The amount of time that saves, time and money that saves me usually, pays for the ticket 10 times over by itself. Not to mention it's in Vegas, right? And what happens in Vegas stays on Facebook, right?
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about, we mentioned that this is going to be the first major Amazon conference coming back after, I'm going to call it after COVID. I mean, we're technically, does COVID ever leave, right? But like after COVID, if whatever you can share, talk to me a little bit about safety. Like say somebody does have, people that they feel like they might be viewed as, I'm being irresponsible here. I could be bringing something back. This is a massive conference. This isn't like a 50-person event. This is a massive conference in Vegas. Like, what safety precautions how's your approach? How's Prosper Show's approach towards this safety precaution for attendees?
Well, and I can say I don't want to get too much into specifics because things are changing. One time we were talking about temperature checks. Doesn't look like we're going to be doing those. Now that said, that could change. It doesn't look like, it looks like we're going in the healthy direction. I don't expect it to change for the worst. So we do have a very thorough and very tested health and safety guide that's on our website. It's at the top of every page. Before we even started putting out anything about content for our show, we started putting out the messaging. We're safe. We're doing this well. We've my parent company, Emerald X, has already done 5 or 6 events since January safely. So we are carefully following the advice and staying tuned to what CDC is saying, local authorities, state authorities, and to inform, not just inform, direct what we're doing to make sure people are safe. So mask wearing, yes. Social distancing, absolutely. And a number of other precautions. But I encourage anybody who wants to see the current list of precautions that we're taking to look on our site and look at that. It's not a legalistic form. It's pretty brief. Take a quick look, and it succinctly tells you what our precautions are that we're taking. Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, but just I'm pretending like everybody already knows the site we're talking about. We're talking about Prosper Show. It's simple. It's prospershow.com, and it's a banner. You can't miss it. at the top with a health and safety, learn more, extremely thorough. But yes, you're right. Things change by the day. It looks like we're rapidly going in the direction of better and better and better. So like whatever they are now, I'll say, I think, guessing, not a virologist, I'm not a politician, I'm guessing that they're going to be even more relaxed as we get closer. Obviously, even if we got there and it's like, you don't need masks, obviously everyone can still wear a mask. Like you can still wear whatever precautions you want. You're not going to be like looked at weird or judged or anything like that. Totally wear a mask. I'm going to wear a mask. So great stuff. Let's talk a little bit about how somebody can participate in this show. Before that, what is something about this show you feel like I haven't touched on and it's like magical, like somebody needs to know this about this show, besides the fact that they're just not serious about their business if they don't attend?
Well, I would make light of the fact that, as you said, there's good training in here that can take place. Watching the videos in and of itself has value, but nothing is a substitute for being there in person. Just as an example of that, your session on staffing system and SOPs. I mean, you're someone. Yes, you do other things, but you are first and foremost as a seller. I don't know if you want me to put out there, you're running 52 businesses, and you know how to scale up, you know how to use VAs. That's that session in the 45 minutes that comes across in that session. I mean, I can't wait to hear how to work harder or work smarter, not harder. And I'm not a seller. I should put that out there as well. I'm not a seller. I have a great group of 12 advisory council members and a lot of other people who I consult with to know what's in there. But the training that goes along with this is great. And just to go back to the other mention, when I said, we're not going to be recording sessions, we want to be free to be critical of Amazon. I mean, totally Amazon, obviously, it goes without saying, has some issues and has really been a challenge for a lot of sellers. I mean, just their recent inventory restock limits have been a huge headache. We want people to be able to be critical of Amazon without worrying that it's going to come back on them, and for in any way, whether they're asking the question or answering the question from on stage. But beyond that, I think we're going to have just a great session. I'd mention the seller hacks that we did in 2018, renamed seller tricks and tips. We're going to have 8 sellers right off the top, right after keynote, just talking about, hey, here's something I figured out to do in 2 minutes. We'll have 8 of them just kind of sampling. We'll take a vote. It'll be fun to see who comes up with the best one. But I think there's just a lot of great networking that's going to take place from that, and a lot of good conversations that are going to take place from that. But we also have the informal networking that's going to be taking place. We didn't mention exhibitors yet, but even our executives have kind of been taking note of Prosper Show and its success in terms of getting exhibitors to come out. I mean, we've exceeded expectations on 2 separate. We had to reset goals at one point, and then exceeded those goals in terms of where our trajectory is. And so we look like things are looking really great. I think the experts that come across that are there on the floor for people to talk to, can't say enough about the value that can take place there as well. We have the Brella app coming back for one-on-one conversations that people can have. It's an app you go on, you do a search based on your interests. It matches you up with who here you might want to talk to. Tap on them. Hey, are you available for a 15 minutes at this time slot? And then it'll assign you with 40 to 60 tables that we're going to have set up for people to have those 15-minute one-on-one meetings. It's a quick way to get together, we try to facilitate that networking in every way possible. But there's a lot of those conversations that organically take place on the floor, at lunch, after a session, and so forth.
I must have missed that, because I didn't even know there was that like 60 tables and the app and matching people together. That's awesome. Something else like the presentation that I'm going to give. I've never given it before. So you're not going to hear, you've heard me mention all this on a podcast. You've heard it in the meetup, and I've heard this from the other speakers that I've had the opportunity to present on. This isn't some recycled PowerPoint that you've heard from them. It's like some spin on this. It's like unique stuff. We're going to have people addressing right? Like us at Project.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
we're going to be addressing, like people are going to be talking about how they are addressing this, it's difficult to send in inventory, restricted inventory limits. And you're going to get to hear how successful sellers, other successful sellers, like, you listening to this are addressing it. So that's, you mentioned the informal events too, like the informal that are not Prosper Show events, but they do happen. They seem to pop up around, around conferences, and Prosper Show is like the conference. There's going to be something to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen breakfasts happening pre. I've seen there's a lot. Obviously, none of it happening. I wouldn't go to any of these events if they're happening at the time of the Prosper Show. Right. But there's a lot happening. Like this is going to be maximizing your time at Prosper Show.
And maybe if I could just put some skin on the bones here, little bit about some of the sessions beyond yours that are also amazing. Jeff Cohen was also presenting on applying the 80-20 rule to your business. I mean, Absolutely. He hasn't presented that session before, and he's a perennial favorite at this. Liz Downing, Peter Kearns, and Jason Boyce are doing a co-presentation on leveraging the Amazon levers. And that's going to be truly incredible. I don't know how you choose between that one and yours that's scheduled at the same time. But there's a whole lot of, they're going head to head. The other big themes that we're hitting this year, how to sell your business. The most recently added session on that one, Scott Dietz, coming up with a game plan to sell your business. So if you're thinking about selling or wonder what it would be like to sell, that's a session for you. We have a session also that's going to be on aggregators and sellers telling their story of how that business was purchased from sellers. This is what I was looking for to this is to aggregators sharing, what they were looking for, and talking about that story. We'll have 3 to 4 micro stories told there. Videos are big. We've got 2 sessions on that and a workshop this year. 2 sessions on using social media influencers and chatbot from some amazing experts on that.
I believe Paul Barron's in the mix. Yeah.
Yep. Paul. He's going to be. There's just a lot to choose from here, and I beg your pardon. You're not up against. You're up against the leveraging influencers.
Thank God! I'm sitting here thinking like, oh boy, here we go. I got to bring it.
And that goes back to one of the things I like about the work is finding that puzzle. And part of that puzzle isn't just finding out what everybody wants, but making sure that it's balanced so that if there's a person, if there's someone who wants to learn about advertising, they're not going to be like choosing between the 2 greatest sessions on advertising in the conference. We got to come up with that balance too, to make sure we're not, there's something in every session for every person. So
it's like it felt like seeing some of it on the back end. It was like you doing some chess master skills on trying to like pull this off. I think it's amazing. I really do. I love the way it came out. I would not have thought it would have come out as good as it did. However, that sounds like it's awesome. A lot of conferences I go to and I'm like, well, yeah, the 9 a.m. is good. And I guess from 10 to noon, that's when I'll just wander around and catch up on calls because these are not relevant. There's none of that. This is like nonstop. So a bit about how somebody can attend.
Sure.
Go to prospershow.com. Tickets. What are the current ticket prices? I don't have to jump over. I know they were very affordable, so I really don't look at them a lot. Plus, there's a cool code CA21 that'll save. I believe it's $150.
$150. Yeah, that's your code. You make sure you use Carlos's code if you're going to register, because it'll save you off the conference pass.
Yeah, CA21 off the conference pass saves you $150. That's awesome. I appreciate the generosity. But someone goes there, and what's that about? They just go to the site, register now.
They go to site, they register now. They can purchase a conference pass. Right now, that's $8.99. Just to go to that. If you want to add a workshop, it's $3.99 per workshop. Those are taking place on July 13th, the day that's pre-conference days. So there's 3 to choose from. Actually, we had 6. We were offering 6 last year. We took the 3 that were the most popular before we had to cancel our event due to COVID, and those are the ones that are coming back. And that's Well, I won't get into the details. Let me stick to this, but I'll tell you, I don't know how you don't go to all three of them if you're selling on Amazon. But if you don't want to, you could just purchase the workshop pass. If you just want to be there on the 13th, just go to the workshop. You don't have to go to the conference. There's also an exhibit hall only pass. If you just want to come and see the exhibitors. So the conference pass, $8.99. Workshop pass is $3.99 per workshop. The exhibit hall only pass, $1.99. There is a different path. There's a different price for people who are non-exhibiting vendors, people who are service providers to be able to attend. It's $4.49 for exhibit hall only, and the workshops are $6.49 right now. But those go up. Don't plan on registering on site. Register now because the prices do go up. And make sure you say that code again, Carlos, so everybody can remember.
CA, like Carlos Alvarez, CA21. 150 off the conference pass, which I think you should get, and bolt on some workshops and all that stuff. I think you should do it. I hope to see you. I'm going to be there. And when I speak, it's not like I'm disappearing. Like I plan on being open and talking to anyone, answering any questions that anybody has, and just attending. Like as long as you're knowing that I want to attend these sessions as well, and you catch me between, I think it'll be great. Super respectful of your time. I cannot thank you enough. I know how busy you must be leading up to this. What's the best way if somebody had a question about something you mentioned on the show, or for somebody to reach you to ask any questions about anything about this show? What's the best way to reach you?
Well, find me on LinkedIn. I check my LinkedIn messages, and especially message me on LinkedIn. If you've emailed me and I haven't responded yet, I am getting a lot of emails from people who, for a variety of different reasons, don't email me to speak. Our agenda is full, but if you are interested in speaking, things do change, and we are looking to offer future events even before the 2022 event, but also for the 22 event. We'll be looking at on our website at the people who are applying to speak. There's an application there, so you can fill that out there. But someone has a question about the content, the questions, Brian.Anderson at emeraldx.com. That's BRIANANDERSON, Brian.Anderson at emeraldx. That's just the letter X.com. But you can email me there, and then you can go to our website and see if you're wondering about registration, if you're wondering about sales. There's all of our team's contact links are on there. I haven't mentioned how great my team is at Prosper Show to work with as well, but you can see who they are on our website and email them directly to if you have a question that's outside of content for the conference.
I'll have all those links in the show notes as well, but if you're like jotting this down, don't get into a car accident while you listen to this. Just like it's going to be in the show notes. You can get to it later. Brian's definitely very active on LinkedIn. The LinkedIn link will be there, but it is BRIAN Anderson. All that'll be there. Before I let you escape for the day, Brian, again, I can't thank you enough. The question I ask everyone that's on the show is, what is your favorite book and why? Say Star Wars, please say Star Wars. No.
I don't know if it was when I read it, or it's just the style of writing. A Prayer for Owen Meany. As I mentioned, I was in the classroom teaching. I was a humanities teacher, but at one point I did teach AP English. So I enjoy novels as much as anything. But that one is just really one that's always struck with me, and I reread from time to time. But enjoy nonfiction as well. What was the you've Lincoln behind you? Lincoln was my childhood hero growing up. The
Lincoln Lawyer,
the Edge of the something of Enemies. Anyways,
I forget. I think I know what you're talking about. Great Lawyer. So this is a fiction novel.
Yeah. No, it was a novel written about how Lincoln, after he was when he was elected, chose the people he chose to be on his cabinet were all of his enemies, all of his adversaries, and he brought it. He was the one who really put into practice keep your enemies close.
I'm gonna read that. I thought you were saying something about a fiction novel, like there's a Lincoln Lawyer type, like John Grisham type thing, but no, Lincoln. That's I didn't know that about his cabinet.
And it's something of enemies, and someone's gonna. People might be emailing right now to see what the name of that book is, but I read it. It's worth a read. Yeah.
So A Prayer for Owen Meany and Lincoln,
and Lincoln. It's a blank of enemies.
I'll find it.
Maybe it's Cabinet of Enemies. It's not Cabinet though, but that was the general idea.
I'll find it and put it in the show notes. No worries. I'm going to get it. I haven't read it and I love that. So huge thank you. I'll let you get on with your day. I really look forward. We're going to be in contact before Prosper Show, but I still gotta send you the presentation. So I look forward to seeing you at Prosper Show. I look forward to seeing everyone who's listening to this at Prosper Show. The code is CA21 for the conference pass. Save $150. You come up to me and say, if you come up to me and say you use the code, I'll get you a drink. I'll get you a drink at Prosper Show. Like do it. We'll hang out. We'll talk. Love it.
Well,
Ryan,
I want to thank you for having me here today, and I also want to thank you publicly for everything that you've done, the impact that you've had. I mean, Amazon Live is going to be a part of it. I asked you what we should do for this year's event. You said Amazon Live. I'm like, I'm putting it down right now. You had no reservation, neither did I. That was the first one I wrote down concretely for the event. But no, thank you for everything you've done for the conference. Thanks for having me here.
Awesome. I will speak to everybody next week. Until then,
it was fun sharing this episode with you. If you found value in what you've heard, please show your love with a subscribe, rate, and review of the show. Until next time.